So, in this lecture, we are going to uh, see how the theme is changing as far as the contemporary folk arts are concerned. The whole practice is initiated and carried out by a group of people who have always been there, but there are many more people who are getting added to the whole activity. Now, this is something very obvious, and we discussed that in earlier times also, that especially the theme change that is caused by many different factors. One of that is perhaps the inclusion of genders into it, the inclusion of the modern mind, the uh, degree of education and the access to information, the global awareness, the kind of sensibilities that the artist they already have is getting uh, enriched by many other cross-cultural and cross-media exposures that they're enjoying on a regular basis. And there are also subject matters who are culture specific, beyond culture, and many other factors are nurturing the basic fiber of this practice in the contemporary milieu. So, let's see and talk about it. So, change in theme, as explained by the anthropologist and initiators of Madhubani painting, David Santon, co-founder in 1980, the president till 2003 of Ethnic Arts Foundation. 1980s onwards, several artists began painting images on social themes in Madhubani. Apart from daily life activities, there were paintings depicting political events such as election by Shanti Devi. The artwork is now preserved in Berkeley Art Museum, having political party symbols. The male painters are regular in secular themes and paintings on current issues. The thematic range include global terrorism, pollution, patriarchy, global terrorism, benefit and costs of capitalist developments, women power and glory, literary mission, etc. There are abundant feminist themes in the contemporary range of Madhubani painting: social constraints, equal rights for both genders, right to education for girls, female foeticide, ill treatment by the husbands and mother in laws, bride burning are common as themes for paintings. Seen in the picture is a traditional kobar, that is an image that is usually done during the auspicious ceremonies. It's part of a ritualistic practice, a traditional one in Madhubani. So, the traditional image of kovar is the image that created the auspicious space for marriage. The lotus pond and paired fish call forth female beauty and fertility. The bamboo stands for the male line. The image of Gauri Puja suggests union of the ideal couple surrounded by pairs of fish, lovebirds, snakes and turtles with sun and moon beaming from above. So, in this picture, what we see is a centralized chamber, and there are other things coming out in a radial order. So, it is a radiating condition that operates the compositional arrangement, and there are other elements which are highly symbolic and culture specific, but also at the same time very aesthetically pleasing that are placed there. So, when we see in one side the repeated leaves or the faces in some geometrical pattern, it doesn't tell us anything very specifically, but we can. It intrigues us to find out the meaning, to know the people who have made it, how they live, what is their culture, and how the life is. So, this is the representation of life in a particular zone which is full of prosperity. So it is a combination of reality, imagination, belief, and many other things. But this is restricted towards quite a few factors, that the composition has to have certain things very compulsorily. Now I'll show you another cover which is done in a recent time. So, in the contemporary range of Kober, there are instances of deconstruction by Pinky Kumari in 2004 with a couple of elements like lotus pond and flowers being absent. Playfully, the lotus and bamboo transforms into pairs of fish. The painting, titled A Modern Kober 2003, adds an image of goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, as well as a heart sign for love marriage. So the space division is different. The symmetry is broken and dismantled. The imageries are more or less the same. Some of the patterns are just as it is, but the images are not restricted to the symmetry, and the creative freedom is abundant here. This is another very conventional picture of the village life, which is done by Dulari Devi. So, in this picture, what we see that it's a regular village life. In the first frame on top, we see that there's one character who is almost like the childhood image of Krishna, but it's a common village boy who is just the symbol of Krishna there. He is sitting on the tree and playing a flute, and then there's one lady who is sitting underneath the tree and selling fish, and she's a fish seller and she's holding in her hand a small child. So she is the mother. She's sitting and with a measuring machine and doing her business, and there are other people around her, and the whole buying selling thing is going on, and there are also coins left there. So fish selling is there in the first frame, and then we see that they're coming back home. Mothers are there with children. There are many other children playing around. There are animals, snakes, and everything. They're all living together. There's one character who is cooking. The other one is also assisting her in many different ways. In the third picture also we see that the cooking and other daily life activities are going on. The male members are out for harvest. They are working in the field. The women of the community, they are carrying food, and the couple is sitting under the tree. The tree is also full of beautiful fruits. They're juicy fruits. We can see from the colors, so that the orange and yellow. The tree is also full of beautiful birds, and the couple is sitting right underneath the tree and enjoying the food together. There are other people, cattle, and everything that shows the prosperity and the happy life. There are other images that shows the prosperity and the happy life. And then in the second last frame, what we see that suddenly there's a child who is affected by a snake bite. And there are also like boat, water vehicle that is shown, that is rushed to shift. So the entire community is shifting to a different location for some reason. They're doing many other things. That is, it's again showing that its life is not just a smooth sail. So one has to get ready for that. There's some turmoil which is taking place, and this is how we are making the meaning of the images. And then again, the common motives of prosperity, they're there, helter and shelter. We get to see the crab, the turtle, fish, and all other typical motifs, very typical of Madhubani painting. And in the last frame, also we see that they're getting, like, they're storing certain things for their use, and they're in a way moving from one place to another place. So this is kind of an utopian picture of the village life and crisis that comes in the second frame. It's part of a narrative. At the same time, each frames are individual in their identity. Moreover, throughout, it has a strong identity that can be easily recognizable as a Madhubani painting. So all the motifs, all the brand identities that come with Madhubani painting, they're very strictly maintained all throughout. At the same time, the artist has taken all her freedom to decorate it, to arrange it in whatever way she felt like. So the medium, the color, the other elements, the pictorial elements, images, that is very rich, and it also provides the artist with a lot of visual possibilities and the artistic possibilities. The expressions are also there. See the kind of decorative qualities in the draperies. There are different decorations in the textile. The tree is made in a very free, decorative, simplified structure. The textures are there almost everywhere, and it's very rich as a and rich at the same time. It's very pleasing for our eyes. Now, this is a conventional, or maybe a semi-conventional, a transition of the picture that we've seen traditionally. So it's not made for the ritualistic purpose. Rather, this is for a individual expression of Dulari Devi that we get to see here. It's partly her memory, partly her wish, and partly her apprehension. Everything is there in this picture. Now, I'll show you another picture which is a recent one, and this is perhaps even more interesting to look at. So, in the beginning, what we see, this is the title of the painting is Bride to Bride Burning. The painter's name's Rupam Kumari, executed in 2012 in Madhubani. So, what we see in the picture is a girl who is getting married in the first frame. If we go in the order from left to right and then top to bottom. So, what we see that she is getting married and she is getting decked up. Some two girls are applying mehendi on her hands, and she is getting dressed up. There are lots of food being prepared for the guests, and there are abundant of material all over her. It's an image of prosperity. Then the bridegroom comes and she gets married. Everybody is blessing them, showering them with blessings. There are also images where there's a little girl and other people who are clicking photographs. There are 3-4 images. There are characters who are photographers, and all ladies, they're clicking photographs and capturing the moments, which are very interesting. In almost everywhere, it's like the allegory that all these photographers are coming in, and photograph is getting clicked. And then in the third frame, we see that they're also attending all the ritualistic things that is suggested by the Shastra and all those religious texts, that the marriage can only be prosperous if all these rituals are nicely performed. So they're going through each and everything suggested with lots of faith and understanding. And then finally, what is happening that in the fourth frame, we see that the bride is heading towards the bridegroom's house. So, when she is traveling by a palanquin, we can see the bride is sitting inside, and there are also some village scenes where a person is going with some the milk sellers, and other people are there all around them. And then finally, in the second last frame, where Rupam has also signed there, it's like art by Rupam, done in 2012. So here we see that the girl is trying to get adjusted to all the household activities, the household work, in a strict instructions from the mother in law there. So we see a tube well there from where they fetch water, and then there's a kitchen setup, and seen in the picture that she is trying to clean up the space by with a broom that she is holding and wiping up all the dirts from the floor. So she is trying to be as good as possible, but the mother in law doesn't look very happy with her. And then, shockingly, at the last frame, we see that there's a bridegroom and the mother in law at both the sides, and the girl, again, she is sitting in the same posture how she sat in the first frame. So it's the same girl with no change. Uh, she's sitting there, tears falling from her eyes, and she's sitting with all the utensils of the kitchen, the strainer, the cup and saucer, the other utensils, everything is lying there disorganized. And the husband is pouring oil. It's also written that it's mitti ka tel, that means it's kerosene, and the mother in law is there with a matchbox. So, bride to bride burning, it's a strong image. When we compare it with the earlier one that we have seen from Dulari Devi, it has the same sensibility. And I mean, she showed some apprehension of shifting or a snake bite. So, the fear is always there with the usual utopia. And see, the whole image doesn't really look that it will come up with such a strong message, which is very difficult to accept. But this is the contemporary face of Indian folk art. What we see in this picture is also something which is in response to a recent phenomenon by Amita Das, the Sri Lanka Tsunami, painted in 2004. So, the entire image of the wave and the coconut trees, they're all highly patternized and texture. The figures who are running, they're trying to escape, and then the bodies, which are in different parts. It's an amazing composition, very unconventional, and very strictly connected to the sensibilities of Madhubani painting. So the style is intact and the expression is individualistic. It's very interesting to see how the textures are created and all the people are rushing. There's that repetition of figure that gives us the right rhythm. And then the bodies are in parts and fragments, totally taken over by the huge wave that is the tsunami coming from one side. So it's a reaction, an expression which is very individual in its characteristic. Then we see this painting by Shalini Kumari, The Benefits and Costs of Capitalism. I'll read the description that is mentioned in the prize list of the International Travelling Exhibition. The central swastika figure symbolizes capitalist prosperity that produces the green revolution, industrialization, globalized trades, and consumer goods, the light and education that all brighten the world, but on either side is it also produces rockets, guns, alcohol, drugs and diseases, auto, form and noise, pollution, and cosmetics which all darken the world, creating toxins that pass on the Shiva, but can be again allow the toxins and again save humanity. Another image from a recent time, what we see in the picture is an ongoing ultrasound X ray of an expected mother. A scaled up and emphasized motif of snake symbolizes the horror of female foeticide. There are images of girl children compared with beautiful flowers that are picked up from the twigs with severe brutality. The artist did not seem to have followed the conventional compositional norms, yet have maintained the core characteristic of Madhubani painting style in the fine linear work with utter intricacy. This is a painting made by Rani Jha, and the title of the painting is The Abortion Clinic, painted in 2004. Some recent works by Pushpa Kumari on the same feminine subject matters, where the female is embodied as the mother goddess and the mother who is giving birth to the children in all unfavorable conditions and contexts. So it's all about the childbirth, the motherhood, and all the symbols which is related to prosperity and how they are in the time of change and how they're endangered from time and on. I'll also show you two of the very interesting representations in the paintings of a very talented young painter from Madhubani named Rambarose Chow. So, in the painting which is there at the left, what we get to see is a collage which is very different. It's very rare to see collage like formation in Madhubani painting. At the same time, the painting has all the stylistic identities that Madhubani painting usually has. So, in this painting, what we see that it has some kind of a dreamlike condition where Rambarose Chow has named this painting Underwater Montage, and he painted it in 2005. So, in this picture, what we see, which is unlike the other one in the next, which is also a similar expression where there's a mermaid kind of a figure who is half snake, and it's the Nag Kanya or the snake maiden. Who is seen in the picture. There's a snake and the kind of space division with the lotus and everything. But it also has a highly surreal aspect where the artist has taken all his freedom of execution, and at the same time he is representing the style of Madhubani painting in a much modern manner. These are the two very significant paintings by Rambarose Chow, which is almost abstract. It doesn't have much of a representational image into it. They're semi-abstract, and we can call it fully abstract, highly textured in layers. It has the basic linearity of Madhubani painting, so it has Kachni, Bharni and all these traditional things, but they are interpreted in a very modern term. So, in the painting titled Outside Inside and Transformation and Breaking Earth, Rambarose has enjoyed his artistic freedom by experimenting and exploring the traditional style in his contemporary expression. Amita Cha, a young Madhubani painter, has been innovatively exploring the possibilities of Madhubani tradition in her new works. Amita Cha taking the concept of Ardhanarishwara a step further. In this painting is a face of a tiger and the other one, she named it as the strange birds. Now, the Ardhanarishwara motif that is shown in the picture, it's the Prakriti and Purusha, the opposite and complementary concept. To her, if male and female are independent and complementary amongst gods and humans, they must be also throughout the nature. Shalini Kumari's drawings on Ardhanarishwara, the idea of complementary and interdependence, she depicts two aspects of women radiating power and energy into the dark world. So we see two women and another snake in the form of blessing, and the work is completely asymmetrical instead of being symmetrical as the Ardhanarishwar things usually have. So it has an symmetrical emphasis into it, but then the radiating power and energy into the dark world, as we said, but with headboard, also sexually and socially submissive to the Naga, that is the symbol of the male power, the males in her life. So the snake is symbolizing the male counterpart. The naga, the snake, on the females, probably a self image. So on the female's forehead, as interpreted by the artist, is according to her, she says, they have even captured our minds. So they're totally taken over, they're just getting under our skin. Amita Cha, she tells the same concept, and she says if the Ardhanarishwar concept, the opposite complementary male female, is existing in the nature, then why not in snails? So she picked up the motive of the creature snail and simplified it and expressed it in this form. So, all these contemporary images are very unique and experimental in their quality. I just took examples from Madhubani, but there are other things happening all over in our country, especially in the Western India, in Bengal, and North India also, where they're bringing new subject matters, experimenting with the style. So they are basically using style as a general identity for them and experimenting the style, incorporating changes and taking the tradition farther very successfully.